Tatum is hurt. Tatum is down. He wants a timeout. Tatum in so much pain.
It's official. Jason Tatum has torn his Achilles. 27 years old, all NBA, in the middle of a possible championship run. One of the most durable stars in the league. The Celtics can say goodbye to any championship hopes for at least another 2 years. You see, this is more than just an injury. Tearing your Achilles in basketball is seen as a career ender. Because when you tear your Achilles, the question isn't just how long you'll be out. The real question is, will you ever be the same again? So today, we're going to see what this injury means for Tatum's future. This season, Jason Tatum played great. I mean, he was averaging 27 points, 9 rebounds, and almost 6 assists. He was playing elite defense, and he was doing it on a Celtics team that won 61 games. He's 27 years old, never had any major injury history, MVP level production, a top 5 player in the league, and he was leading the Celtics on what could have been a shot at a title. That's what makes this injury so devastating. This isn't just a role player getting hurt. And as if the Eastern Conference wasn't weak already, imagine an Eastern Conference without Jason Tatum. But what does history tell us about injuries like these happening to star players? Take for example Kevin Durant. He tore his Achilles during the 2019 NBA Finals. It happened after he rushed back from a calf strain in Game 5. One wrong step, and his season was over. The Achilles is one of the worst injuries in basketball. It affects your lift, your explosion, and your ability to stop and cut. But KD's comeback has been legendary. He returned in 2020 and looked just as good, if not better. That's because KD's game has always been based on skill and touch. He's 7 feet tall, he doesn't rely on speed to get buckets, he shoots over the top of anyone. And if Durant never had even gotten hurt, he probably still wins another ring with Golden State. But even with the injury, he still made multiple All-NBA teams and remained a top 10 player in the league. For guys like Tatum, who score with pace and rhythm more than just raw athleticism, Durant's recovery is the blueprint. Not like guys like Derrick Rose, who tore his ACL in the 2012 playoffs. He was 23 years old, the youngest MVP in NBA history. Derrick Rose's game was all about electricity and explosiveness. He didn't just beat defenders, he exploded past them. But after the injury, that burst of speed was gone. His stops weren't as sharp. His first step wasn't quite as deadly. He missed the entire next season. Then he got hurt again. Eventually he reinvented himself. He became a solid 6-man and a fan favorite, started focusing more on jump shots and being smart. But if we're being honest, Derrick Rose was on a Hall of Fame trajectory. Multiple MVPs were not out of the question. Championships? It was possible. But that one injury changed his whole story. If Tatum had Rose's style of play, we'd be way more concerned. But luckily, Tatum doesn't rely on sheer athleticism like Derrick Rose did. Another player that had a serious injury, it wasn't the same as Tatum's, it was an Achilles injury, but Paul George in 2014 broke his leg during a Team USA scrimmage. He was only 24. It was a clean snap, one of the most gruesome injuries in recent NBA history. But unlike the Achilles, it didn't directly affect his lateral movement or explosiveness once it healed. And because he was still young, and because his game wasn't built on overwhelming athleticism, he recovered fully. Within a couple of seasons, he was an all-star again. In 2019, he finished third in MVP voting. Paul George is one of the best examples of a player who completely bounced back from a devastating injury. And again, that gives hope to someone like Tatum. DeMarcus Cousins was at his absolute peak when he tore his Achilles in 2018. He was averaging 25 points, 13 rebounds, and 5 assists. A true inside-out offensive center with superstar numbers. But after the tear, his mobility just was never the same. The lift was gone, his reaction time on defense took a big hit. Cousins bounced around from team to team, trying to fit into rotations, but the all-star version of him never came back. If Boogie never got injured, there's a strong case that he stays an All-NBA player. Maybe even builds a Hall of Fame case. But big men have it worse with Achilles injuries. The extra weight, the heavy footwork, it's just harder to regain that rhythm. But again, that's where Tatum has an edge. He's leaner, younger, and he plays perimeter game. Tatum's idol, Kobe, tore his Achilles in 2013 at 34 years old. It happened late in the season, after carrying the Lakers through an insane playoff push. He had been playing heavy minutes, and eventually his body just gave out. And here's the thing, Kobe was still dominant at that age of 34. That season, he averaged 27 points, 6 assists, and 5 rebounds. But after the injury, he was never the same. He only played 41 games over the next 2 seasons combined. The explosion was gone. The quickness was gone. His heart was still there, but the body just couldn't keep up anymore. If he had stayed healthy, he might have added another playoff run or two to his resume. But like with all other older players, his age worked against him. Tatum has the advantage of time. He's not the tail end. He's just getting started. So here's what we know. Tatum isn't a freak athlete like Derrick Rose or a big body like DeMarcus Cousins. He scores with footwork, angles, balance, and elite shot making. He's not blowing by guys every possession, he's dissecting them. And at just 27 years old, his odds of a full recovery are much higher than they'd be for someone in their 30s. The Celtics have an elite medical staff. They sure will be cautious. They'll have every resource lined up. And the league today is better equipped to handle these kind of injuries than ever before. So yes, this injury is serious, but this is not the end for Jason Tatum. We have every reason to believe that he can return and pick up right where he left off. Getting injured right in your prime doesn't just test your body, it tests your story. For some, it's the beginning of the end. For others, it's the start of a comeback. This Achilles injury will be the biggest challenge of Tatum's career, but it will not be the end. Let me know what you think. Will Tatum bounce back, or will this injury change everything?